What's up, folks? So here we are, episode 16, and today coming live at Tampa Joe's, the official sponsor of Broad Street South Sports Talk. So come on down. Of course, I'm here early before everyone else arrives. The doors are open, of course, 11 o'clock. There's plenty of seating out here on the patio where I am. It's a little windy, about 73 degrees right now outside, and it's feeling pretty great out here. So if you guys are stopping on by, it's at the AMC Plaza right off of Anderson Road. So stop by. Join us, or at least join me, because the other guys will be online. By all means, but come on out. Again, Tampa Joe's the official sponsor of Broad Street South Sports Talk. Lots to do today. Of course, the Sixers are making a move. Daryl Morey is making lots of move for the Sixers. Of course, the Eagles and the fallout, what it was after coming off the bye week, now makes Doug 1-5 instead of 1-4 coming off the bye. We're going to get to his audio recording of how pissed off he was come Monday and the supposed, again, fast start coming up this week. So we also have our live guest, Joseph Rieger. He'll be on with us in a little bit. And he comes out of Cleveland, out of the Cleveland podcast. So Joseph will be on with us very shortly. And it's good to have a live guest on because the interviews are fun, but when you have a live guest, it makes it a lot better as well. So Joe will be on with us shortly. And we have a new member of the team that we're going to be bringing on. So lots to get to. If I'm missing anything, hopefully we'll catch up on it. But again, I'm here live at Tampa Joe's. If you guys want to come on down, plenty of seating. The game starts at 1 o'clock against the Browns, which we hope the Eagles can turn around. But if anything else, let's get the show underway. I am Angel, and this is Broad Street South Sports Talk. Lots of exciting things happening, of course, with us. The show continues to grow, which is always an awesome thing because you want growth and you don't want things to slow down. And before I get to the thank yous, of course, I want to bring on the two gentlemen. The one, of course, you guys have known since week 1, episode 1, and then the formal introduction of our next sports contributor. So without further ado, of course, here is my co-host, Mike Fuji. Mikey, what's going on, Mikey?
Game day. Taking on the Cleveland Browns, and it's time to get a 60-minute win completely. Yep. It's time to get the ship. It's time for Carson and Doug to get the ship going afloat. How are you?
Good. And out here, of course, live at Tampa Joe's. It's really nice out here, very comfortable. I'm hoping the rain will stay away. There's been somewhat rain in the area, and if it starts raining, I'm kind of a little bit on the not so forgiving side because, of course, I would end up getting the moisture, which means everything would have to be collapsed and taken inside. But, was feeling the wind last week. Unfortunately, they let me down. We're going to see how it's going to all play out this week. Of course, we got Joe waiting in the green room here in the background, but now, of course, the former introduction, and it goes to show you that, it's fun when you have people who share the page, and someone who's believed in, of course, this show since episode 1. So with that being said, it is my pleasure. He was our guest last week. He is now officially the sports contributor. We have with us now Mike Sherman. Mike, thank you for joining the program. Thank you for joining the show. And I guess welcome to your new position as sports contributor. We really appreciate you coming on board with us.
Thank you so much. I am really honored to be part of the production. I'm going to throw out one date for the two of you guys and for all of the listeners out there. November 13th, 1994. That is the last time that the Cleveland Browns beat the Philadelphia Eagles. 26 years ago. Does that stop today? What do the viewers think? What do we think? We will definitely be talking about that a little bit later in this show.
Well, I hope so.
I remember that game. I was at it. Eagles were going into that game 7-2. It's a game Byron Evans played his last game as a professional football player where he broke his leg. And the Eagles lost 7 straight and got knocked out of the playoffs. And Rich Kotite thought he should have got a contract extension.
It's amazing to me with everything that goes on, of course. Hey, how are you? As far as all the things that are going on, that's the big thing. I'm waiting for the little muffler cars to go away. You know, it's a thing, of course, that we want to see this big turnaround. And just as you mentioned, as far as with Cleveland, it's been many years, of course, since we played. Kind of last night, I was feeling a little Chip Kelly-ish, where I feel this team is just not going places where it's supposed to. The conversation that of course, Doug had with 94 WIP was kind of a weird one. But, you know, sometimes you have to either motivate yourself to do things right and or just keep failing. And I don't know, coming off at the seams. And that's what it feels like with Doug. So we hope the ship gets turned around here. A couple of comments coming in before we get to, of course, taking care of the bills and the business. And one was Tom, of course, he was saying he was watching, and Samuel says, you guys are awesome. Listen, Samuel, thank you so much. And thank you to everybody, by the way, that tunes in live, that shares the page, that likes the page. If I can bring up one banner here, this being the major one, of course, thank you to everyone who shares, likes the page. And by the way, for us, it was a milestone last week. The big thing was that we had over 1,000 views, and we couldn't do it without you guys. So from the bottom of all of our hearts, we appreciate everyone tuning in. And just because the NFL season will come to a close in January does not mean that the show starts. The show will continue to go. It may just change dates from Football Sunday to maybe a Friday or something else, but tune in for that one. But thanks to you guys, all of you guys out there that tune into the show. We really, truly do appreciate it. And I'm pretty sure the guys feel the same exact way. And if you guys want to reach out to us, of course, the email is always open at broadstreetSouthSportsTalk@gmail.com. Of course, the street is hyphenated ST. And you guys feel free throughout the show to please post your comments up there. We love the comments. We love reading it back to you guys. So by all means, put the comments up there. We do appreciate it. Coming up soon will be the Salute to Service. As of course, November is Salute to Service month for all the veterans that are out there. And with, of course, the other things that we have going on, the one thing that I want to get to as soon as I can scoop it back up here, I'm going to come back up towards the top. We have a couple of mentions, of course, a big one being here live, of course, is Tampa Joe's, the official sponsor of Philly, not only of Philly to the South, as far as the members being here live today, and they'll be pouring in as soon as they possibly can, but being the official sponsor of Broad Street South Sports Talk. So thank you to Mike Goodwin and the group. We do appreciate it. Mike, of course, is not at Maddie's today. He is home in the cave because, of course, Philly's gone through new restrictions. And because of the new restrictions, of course, we can't see Mike over at Maddie's, but we do appreciate, of course, him talking to us from the cave. We also have For the Bay Clothing Company and forthebayclothingcompany.com. They have some fantastic T-shirts. I wear them myself. I got a Tampa Bay one. I got two more that hopefully be coming in the mail here shortly. They have great, great items. If you guys can take a look, you know, of course, they would appreciate it. One of the items that they have here, if I'm showing it here correctly, it's For the Bay Clothing bracelet. So if you guys order something online, you also get a bracelet along with your order. They have got some new bracelets coming on as well, but a fantastic group. And I have a small promo here coming back around. As soon as I can see, nope, I'd have to cue that up later on. But so For the Bay Clothing, if you guys want to reach out to them, it's forthebayclothing.com. They are on Facebook. They're also on Instagram. If you buy one of their shirts and you send them the T-shirt with your face, of course, wearing the merchandise, they will post it up there on either Facebook and on Instagram. So by all means, reach out to those guys, forthebayclothing.com. Dave Allison, wonderful owners. And of course, we started the partnership with them not too long ago. So we're hoping that they will continue to get big just as much as our success to our show will continue to grow as well. Also, another mention was for Mike here with Philly to South. You guys can see the T-shirts waving behind me. He's got two shirts that he like to at least put up for sale. You got one for $15, which is normally one for $25, and two for $25. So if you guys are coming out here today, by all means, purchase the T-shirts. We may be giving away a T-shirt later on throughout the show. So that should be a little bit exciting. And if you guys, again, want to purchase it, you can go with Mike Klein, who is the president of, and I do believe I have his information up here, president of Philly to South. So if you guys want to, you can reach him at 813-344-6682, 813-344-6682, and or via Messenger of Philly of the South through Messenger and or Facebook. Also, if not, you can go and look for him under Mike Klein. Either way, you guys can reach out to him, and he would have absolutely no problem talking to you guys and let you know as far as the deals that he has. Last mention, of course, that we have is also a partnership not completely officially, but it is a partnership nevertheless. And that would be with Last Media Outlet. And I can bring up here on the next screen, so you guys can see where you can follow them on, of course, on Twitter. Here it is. Popping up. And this group is run by John Crichton, Vince Quinn, and John Barchard. These three guys, I think it started out with John and Vince Quinn, who Vince Quinn, by the way, is on CBS Sports Radio. John Barchard, who used to be on Go Birds and was on 94 WIP. I'm pretty sure he will be back on the airways shortly, but the three of them have teamed up to create the Last Out Media. And you guys can follow him on Twitter, Last Out Media. You can also follow John William Crichton, if I'm saying the name correctly. His Twitter handle is JC215Live. For Vince Quinn, his handle is It's Vince Quinn. And for John Barchard, it's real easy. It's just John Barchard. So those guys will be teaming up with us. And to explain a little bit about the company itself, it is a full service company. And they're teaching you what they have learned in their 20 years combined of experience to learn and grow your podcast. If you're looking to start a podcast, they will give you all the tools and the essentials that you will need to become a successful podcaster. They have a couple of shows that are on there right now. I think one of the bigger ones is the Water Boys. They're back home in Philly. Of course, I'm down here in Tampa, just like my guys are back home in Philly. But the Water Boys are one of the big ones that are on there. And they also have, if I can read it, I'm going to take away the, and also, you can also reach out at lastoutmedia.com, lastoutmedia.com. So if you guys want to look for them on Twitter, that's the way you can end up reaching them. I'm going to take away the share screen here so I can bring up an interesting thing that I saw on their website. And this goes to show you guys that they mean business. The one thing, and it's being blocked off with what I wanted to bring up, so I'm going to bring it up this way. So their mission statement to them is a customer is the most important visitor on our premises. He or she is not dependent on us. We are dependent on them. He or she is not an interruption in our work. They are the purpose of it. We are not doing them a favor by serving them. They are doing us a favor by giving us the opportunity to serve them. When you lose focus on what and who is important, you lose business. It is not your competitor's fault when your business becomes their business. Don't blame them. Look inward. We treat each and every client the same, whether it's an established name or someone trying to build to that point. They're all important to us equally. Hashtag do the work. Hashtag where the pros grow. And that is, honest to God, the truth. I mean, it is amazing what those guys are going to do. I look forward to obviously teaming up with them. The three of us, of course, will be teaming up with them very shortly. And again, that's Last Out Media. Look for them on Twitter, lastoutmedia.com. And that's pretty much it other than the salute to service. And before I bring on the salute to service, I know I got Joe waiting there patiently in the green room, and I can see him move around. There he is. So I'm going to bring up Joe. Joe is from Cleveland. He'll be talking about the Cleveland Browns. And here is, well, just Joe from Cleveland. Joe, how are you?
How's it going, everybody?
Good morning.
How you doing, Joe?
Pretty good. I just want to say thank you to Broad Street South Sports for having me on. You know, as a podcaster myself with Cleveland's Finest Podcast, we always look to embrace each other and share and like and those alike. It's just it's a great week, great day for football. So,
Yep, it definitely is. And of course, depending on where you are, here in the South, of course, it's warmer. Up north, you guys are a little much colder than what it is. So, but either way, it's still a great day for football. And we hope that the Eagles are able to turn around. Before we get,
I'm in Cleveland. And the weather's kind of wet and rainy. It's kind of chilly outside, and the ground is wet. So let's see what happens with that on the field. It's probably going to be a lot of run. I know my man mentioned that 1994 was the last time that the Browns beat the Eagles. That might be a little bit before my time, but I think that was Belichick. Was Belichick the Browns coach?
I believe it was.
That sounds right.
Yeah. But, I mean, we could talk about this week. You guys can lose and still be in first place, being with the Giants being on a bye. So, I mean, the Browns need this, guys. I mean, for God's sakes, the Browns need this one because we're in a division with the Steelers and the Ravens, and any hope of making a third or a second, it would have to be through the Eagles. So I want my Brownies to win.
Well, we can only, it's one of those things that I don't want to say that I hope that they win. I'm not feeling the Eagles win for sure. We'll get into it here in a little bit, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, Baker Mayfield, you look at him from last year, and we got one more thing before we get into football talk, but Baker Mayfield doesn't look like he made a lot more strides last season to this season, so it will be interesting. The one thing that we'll get to, of course, it is November, which means that we are at the Salute to Service month, and we like to see, whether it's from the Eagles or Phoenix, whomever puts out the Salute to Service. But again, thank you to the men and women who serve our communities and country, of course, and have served, still serve, and are actively serving. So we do appreciate that. And Von Miller, I have a clip from him, and he is this week's Salute to Service brand.
This is my pawpaw. This pawpaw, New Mexico. That's what we call them. It's my mom's dad. My mom was my auntie, dad. That's my dog, man. I love him to death. Salute to Service Month means so much to me. It's the NFL's way of giving back to the people that have given us so much and paid the ultimate sacrifice to have everyday life. And I have a huge respect to all the men and women in the military service. This is Nick Lopez and his mom. These guys I met at Super Bowl, man. Dear Von, I would like to personally thank you for teaming up with USAA and sending me and my mom to the Super Bowl. This trip was awesome and a once-in-a-lifetime experience. In all of my years of being a Bronco fan, I never thought I would get to meet my favorite player. I will never be able to express my gratitude to you for signing my father's jersey. I honestly believe he was with us that day we were able to meet you, and he was smiling down on us. Oh, that's dope, that's dope. In an attempt to show my gratitude to you, included in this letter is sand from the island Iwo Jima. The Battle of Iwo Jima was fought towards the end of World War II from February 19 to March 26, 1945. 27 medals of honor were given during this battle for acts of extreme courage. 22 of them were given to Marines. That's crazy. Some G's. Again, thank you for this gift you awarded me and my mother. We will remember that weekend for the rest of our lives. It's dope, man. I don't want to get choked up. I have a huge respect for these guys, man.
So, of course, Von Miller there talking about his family members that were in. And for anyone that's out there who's viewing us right now, same way with the guys here on the panel. We thank you for anyone who's been a friend, a family member, someone you don't even know, but thank you for their service to our country. That is much, much appreciated. Of course, it is Salute to Service Month in the NFL, the month of November. So great job by Von Miller. So, of course, for us and Joe, of course, he's joining us here from Cleveland, from Cleveland's Finest podcast, if I remember correctly, the name of it.
Yes,
but
sir.
He's joining us today. He is live in a guest with us, but we're going to jump into a little Sixers news before we get into Cleveland and Eagles football.
Y'all got Dwight Howard. I like it. Y'all got Dwight Howard.
Yeah, that was a big one, and I don't think any of us, of course, we saw him coming out. Of course, that Joe mentions him. Yeah, I didn't see that one coming. I think Daryl Morey is making some big splashes. So we had not only just Dwight Howard, but you also have Seth Curry that also came over as well. So it kind of goes to show you where Doc Rivers, his relationship of what he had in the past and the players who want to come here. And then if I can just bring up two of the quick players that we picked up, one in round 2 was Isaiah Joe, and the other pick was Tyrese Maxey. And supposedly from these two guys, there's supposed to be some huge moves coming from at least the college ranks into the NBA. And we saw what happened this year, of course, in the NBA, what happened everywhere as far as the major league sports, thanks to 2020, the weird year that it's been. But we won't get more into that until later on as we start seeing, clips from their shortened season. Of course, that's coming up for college basketball. And we won't get to see a lot of these things you guys have been able to do. But we're hoping that we can get some more action in there. Mike, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, because I just saw your window pop up here for a second time. So, Joe, you just said it. I can't believe it either. As far as when it comes to Dwight Howard, I don't know how that magic happened, and I still believe we can begin James Harden because supposedly he does want to come here. This team could be a blockbuster come for the 2021 start of the season, which starts in January. So, I'll let you guys go around the table here, but your thoughts as far as what right now Daryl's doing for the organization.
Well, it's me and Mike.
Right, you can go ahead, Joe.
Well, Seth Curry is an animal. He's a spot-up 3 guy. He's just like his brother. Him with Dwight Howard, Embiid, and Simmons, if they keep Simmons. If they did get James Harden, they would be the contenders in the East. I'm sad for my Cavs because my Cavs, they had a 5th-round pick, and I think they squandered it. I'm just holding 2016 championship trophy, but that's why I'm a Lakers fan now. So they got. I cannot believe who they picked up and acquired. Like the fact they pick up a Clipper and Montrezl Harrell. He was so disrespectful, and he went to the Lakers. I can't believe that, but I do believe Lakers are going to get a second chip.
Yeah, I believe so too. I can't, it's one of those things, and I'll bring in Mike Sherman here next. I can't believe, and I know that Dwight Howard was a 1-year deal, and he was hoping to obviously go back to the Lakers, but I would love to have known, just to even be in the war room to figure out what made Dwight Howard come here, and a lot of it, of course, got to do with Doc Rivers. So, Sherman, if you want to bring that up, I mean, it's interesting to me as far as the pick that we end up getting.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, with the whole state of the NBA, these teams need to stop shooting the 3-pointer. It drives me absolutely insane when a team has a 3-on-0 or a 3-on-1 fast break and they spot up and they shoot a 3-pointer. Now, if you're the Golden State Warriors and you can hit those 3-pointers like Steph Curry or Klay Thompson, that's fantastic. But it drives me absolutely insane that the Philadelphia 76ers have a man with number 21, Joel Embiid, and here he is, 7'7", however tall he is, and he's spotting up to shoot a 3-pointer. Take me back to the late 80s and 90s of basketball when you had Bill Laimbeer, Robert Parrish. You're 7 foot, get under the basket, dunk, and score. If I'm the Sixers head coach, Doc Rivers, the first time that Joel Embiid spots up for a 3-pointer and takes it, whether he makes a shot or whether he misses it, he's sitting on the bench for the rest of the quarter. It drives me absolutely insane. It's just the state of the NBA that it's changed in that way.
Fuji?
I agree. I mean, over the years with expansion, the talent has just been watered down. And, it's not playing fundamental basketball anymore, not, coming up the way we did. I mean, you could basically drive and travel and they don't call anything. But to me, that's the thing that aggravates me with Joel Embiid. I mean, you're a big man. Whatever happened to playing down low?
Right. I
mean, block shots, rebounds. I mean, that's what the hell they have all these other guys for, like Tobias Harris, etc. And as talented as Ben Simmons is, why can't this guy shoot a couple jumpers a game? I mean, your father played basketball. I mean, it's just fundamental basketball. I mean, like I said, it's a different era. And, I think the acquisition of trading Al Horford will free up a lot of money as far as dumping that contract. And hopefully they can go out and get James Harden. But you're definitely going to have to give up Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid at this point, plus young talent and a lot of draft picks, which James Harden's about 31 years old. And do you want to give up the youth for the experience?
Right.
I wouldn't want James Harden on my team.
Well, it's funny that's being brought up right now because James Harden. So it's hit or miss. It's 1 to 2. It's either people want him on or people don't. And he's been said, I'm not certain, so I'm not going to agree with it, but he's been said there's been times where he's been kind of like a T.O. cancer to a team. And then other times they said he's been the greatest teammate ever when it comes to the team that he's been with. So it's interesting to me with James Harden. He tends to kind of get a bum rap, but to me, and now I'll post the questions for you guys. In order to get James Harden, what would you guys feel if there was an actual just a 1-for-1 trade? Ben Simmons for James Harden, or do the Sixers find a way to keep Ben Simmons and add Harden?
I would trade Embiid because I don't think Embiid has many years left in the tank because of the injuries.
I disagree. Embiid could get inside anytime he wants, and he proved that in the past 2 years. I would get rid of Simmons. Simmons cannot shoot a three to save his life. I'd rather Embiid try shooting the three before Simmons. So,
yeah, I would be very happy if the Sixers brought in Harden and traded Simmons. For whatever reason, as dynamic as Simmons can potentially be, he just doesn't shoot the ball. And if you're going to bring in Harden, somebody who's willing to shoot the ball and has had success with that, like, let's bring him in. As far as Embiid, if he stays healthy, he's dominant. But how often is he staying healthy?
Yeah, but that's just it. How can he? He's had an injury almost every year since he came in the league. And, big men, over 7 feet usually have, feet problems. I mean, it relates back to history.
He's a top three big man in the league. Why would you want to give him up? In my opinion, he's top three in the league, in the whole league.
Oh, no doubt. But like I said, I mean, Simmons has the youth on his side. Plus, hopefully under Doc Rivers, Doc can let Ben Simmons grow under his tutelage. But Embiid, like I said, I think Embiid's got 3 years left in the league.
Possibly. Yes. But we're going to see, speaking of Doc, Mike, there's an interview here that Doc had. It was a real brief one, but I like what Doc had to say as far as the moves that they're making here in Philadelphia.
Pleased to be joined by the new head coach of the 76ers, Doc Rivers. So, Doc, getting things started there in Philadelphia. What's your first draft night as the head coach of the Sixers been like?
Oh, it's been great. Working with Eldon and Darryl, Peter, Prosper, the owners, it's been really good. It's been nice. I kind of just sit and listen.
but pretty soon you're going to be called on to lead. So what is it that you think you can bring to this franchise with the pieces that you have in place and some extraordinary talent that can elevate them to that proverbial next level?
It is a talented team, starting with Joel and Ben. And then when you name all the other guys, we have a huge supporting cast here. We have to learn how to win. We've proven here that you can do a lot of winning and win a lot of games, but we have not proven yet to be the winner. But I like the team. I like the talent. Defensively, I think we can not just be a good defensive team. I think we have the chance to be one of the best defensive teams in this league. And if we start with that, I think the offense will come.
What's your reaction to the draft pick that the Sixers just made, that you guys just made with Tyrese Maxey?
Very happy, competitive, tough. When you have a guy like Ben who has the ball, you don't need a pure point guard. You need guards. You need players. And I think Tyrese kind of fits that mode.
Well, Doc, thank you so much for spending time with us. Congratulations on this pick in the draft. And you're going to get started pretty soon. We look forward to seeing the Sixers under your direction.
Thanks. Really soon.
That's right. Really, really soon.
So, interesting, of course, the interview there with ESPN. But, Doc I think when you make a switch somewhere else, you're coming to Philly, you already know what the expectations are in Philadelphia. They're huge. I don't care. You can play anywhere around the league. And even Joe might, because Cleveland has kind of that same mentality where where you're coming into. And what's expected of you. The Browns, of course, making moves in that direction. Cleveland did it when LeBron come back, and they finally, of course, provided a championship for all the Cleveland fans out there. And, which kind of makes you wonder when LeBron left for a second time, how many people actually follow him over to the Lakers as well. For me, I'm not a huge LeBron fan, and I kind of leave it at that. But I want to see what Doc Rivers is going to do with this team. I mean, they're making the right moves at this point. So it's going to be 21, if anything, at least should be interesting what's going to happen as far as the NBA here in Philly. And the same way, you guys, if I remember too, Joe, you guys lost, was it someone to the Celtics? A long-time Clevelander?
Kyrie Irving.
There you go. He's been.
When I'm speaking on that, I really hope the 76ers treat Doc well. I don't think it was Doc's fault for the Clippers' failure. I believe the whole bubble thing, they're playing in a bubble, no audience. LeBron was just going to win it no matter what. I am a LeBron fan. My heart was broke when he left the first time, I'll be honest, as a fan, and then when he came back, I was so surprised. And then he won us a chip, he left, and then I followed him. I followed him with the Heat just because I was a LeBron fan. But when it comes to LeBron Jordan debate, I do think LeBron gets the GOAT over Jordan. Jordan would be my second.
Well, it's going to be. It's going to be quite the season coming up. As far as the NBA, I think there's more moves that are being done. I haven't followed exactly all the moves. I'm just intrigued by what the Sixers have done. I'm glad that we got Daryl, don't get me wrong, because he's already showing the potential of what he wants to put together in Philly. And it's been years since, of course, the last time we saw an NBA championship, and it's back to the 80s, 83, if I remember correctly, the last time we did win an NBA championship in Philly. So it's going to be huge. And before we start getting into Eagles talk here, just a couple more comments that came on. I just flashed real quick. We have, remember the Facebook user, it might be Michael here on the inside. Good morning, fellas. We do appreciate it. Good morning out there, and thanks for joining us. If you guys, in case, are joining us as well, of course, we have Joe there in the other window from Cleveland's Finest podcast. And it's if you guys want to watch a completely different type of podcast for these guys, they say whatever they want to say. It's a enjoyable group, I will say that much. So if you guys want to watch them, by all means, take a look at their podcast. I think on set, they probably have the same fun as you would have if you're either with a group of guys all together, your friends, or you just feel like in that kickback type mode. Check out Cleveland Finest podcast. I won't take anything away from those guys. So by all means, give them a look. Also, love the moves by the Sixers. Carlos Duarte said, hello, Mike. I'm emerging. That's for Fuji.
Yes. How you doing, Carlos?
We also have Tom says push the 3-point line back to half court. Yeah, that would make it beyond interesting. And then he follows it up with tell him to lay off Chick-fil-A. And I think he was talking about as far as when it comes to Doc Rivers. And then someone had laughed apparently one of the comments that we had. So you guys, by all means, please keep the comments coming. And of course, we will get into what we all came here for, which is the Eagles and Browns coming up, and that's coming up here about surely under another hour and so many minutes. And of course, we're looking for big things out of Philly. One thing that Doug keeps saying week after week is they're looking for the fast start. But then this week, he was a little bit pissed off as for what he said to the recording with Angelo Cataldi. But of course, the 1:00 game is the Eagles versus the Browns. Baker Mayfield he's been looking a little beast mode lately, Joe. And it's interesting to see how much from last year. I think, I was kind of almost a little Johnny Manziel-ish, but he's finally gotten it, coming into his own. And by the way, I do love all the commercials by Baker Mayfield. I think he does a phenomenal job with the commercials. But Baker has really grown to his own come this year, and even with, of course, your star wide receiver being on the injured list.
Yes. Baker has came into his own this year. He's gotten a lot of hell from the media, but I don't think it's Baker's fault. I think he's game managing well, and he's just sticking to his strengths. I believe he'll have a 300-yard game today. I just feel it. Even with the weather conditions, when his back's against the wall, Baker tends to prove himself. So I look for Baker to control the game with the running game and then come out and get some passing yards on the board. I think the Eagles will score as well. I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything like that.
No, what not, Sherman?
So the Browns are 6-3 this year. And if you look at the rest of their schedule, they have games against the Giants, the Jets, and the Jaguars. And assuming that they win those games, that gets you to 9 wins. In the AFC, being that it's so competitive, that doesn't guarantee you a playoff spot. But what intrigues me about the Browns is their 6 wins have been mostly against bottom feeders, where their 3 losses have been against teams that are pretty good. So my question is, and the Cleveland does have the win against the Colts. I will give you that. Can you tell us about the feel of Cleveland right now as to how they're feeling about the Browns? Do they believe in them? Or do they feel that, yeah, they have 6 wins, but they've only beaten these bad teams? What is the vibe in Cleveland right now?
We feel we got a good team. We're just not sold on Baker yet, probably why they haven't picked up his 5th-year option. I do look for him to make a stride, to want to make that money. He's only going to average probably about $25 million a year. That's probably what I would give him right about now. But the feeling in Cleveland's more, we got a good team, and damn the AFC North. If the Browns were in any other division, we would be in the playoffs this year. The NFC East is just so bad. I'm sorry for you guys. You won a Super Bowl 3 years ago, and I just want to see my Brownies do it once. We've been a laughingstock of the NFL for a very, very long time. We're the only franchise to lose our franchise and get our franchise back, even if it was as an expansion team. We have heart and soul here in Cleveland. Cleveland is a football town, so we always want to see our Brownies do well.
Joe, as far as Myles Garrett out today being on the COVID list, how much of an impact will that be?
This is where I heard that he was back. I don't know. I want to believe he's going to play. I want to believe. I did hear 4 days ago when it first came out that he was put on the COVID list. But yesterday I heard something, maybe it was from false news, fake media, that he was going to be able to play. So if he's not, I mean, Larry Ogunjobi, Rodney Harrison, Denzel Ward, Sheldon Richardson's really going to have to step up. We're really suspect in our linebacker position. We do have Sharon Takitaki and Mac Wilson if he's there, but our middle linebackers could be suspect.
No, Joe, let me ask you a question. And before I get to Rick Marcus, his comment, thank you, Rick, as well, putting comments in there. He comes on just about every week with us, putting on his comments. But so you have, of course, Baker Mayfield. You talked about that he's maybe not the quarterback of the future for the Browns because he's not signed yet for any kind of extension. So if either you're looking in the college ranks and they're your backup QB, or if you can trade for one, who would you think other than Baker Mayfield can get the Brownies to that championship level?
Justin Fields, OSU, no doubt in my mind. Trevor Lawrence is good. I give him even the Heisman, but Justin Fields is going to be another Patrick Mahomes. That's my opinion.
So now, if of course there's going to be teams that are tanking, of course, this year, and if you guys don't get Justin Fields, let's just say hypothetically, what is the next move? What do you think is the next key item that you guys actually need, a key player that you need to get again another progress going in the right direction for the Browns?
If Baker's not the answer, I believe the Browns have to look into free agency and get a not so old veteran that can command a team and that could be a leader. Because we have some studs on the Browns. Nick Chubb, if he wouldn't have got hurt for them 3 games, he would be in the MVP race. Kareem Hunt, we got another starting running back. Jarvis Landry is a dog. And when I think about the team, if Baker could just do what he's supposed to, with Baker, Cleveland always thought that he wasn't going to be the Johnny Manziel was. We thought he was going to be the Johnny Manziel Cleveland wanted, a good, talented quarterback that can make good decisions and get this franchise on a winning record, which Baker has done. Baker has done.
So now, and speaking of, and we're going to get to Rick's comment here in a second, but so you got Odell Beckham Jr., obviously, who's injured at this point. What was left as far as on his contract, and does Cleveland extend him as well? Or is it one of those things where he becomes trade bait if needed be?
I believe I love Odell Beckham, man. I don't want him to go nowhere. I want him to heal. I want him to come back even stronger than ever. He hasn't proven himself in a few years since he's been with the Giants. I really want him to heal up from the ACL and come back and stay at Brownie, stay with Jarvis Landry, because they are supposedly best friends. They both went to LSU together, so they're college buddies, and I think that's got to stick with chemistry somewhere. I would hope he would stay.
Let's just hope. Let's hope, and we'll see what happens. I mean, the Browns are making. I mean, you figure that early this year, and of course, because we just met you not too long ago. Earlier this year, we had Mike Fuji actually had a picture of a brown bag, and you know the fans, of course, from Philly being embarrassed the way the season was going, and I put it on there. We were borrowing it from you guys because you guys, of course, went through so many tumultuous seasons, and now you've basically passed on that brown bag on to other people. We're hoping that we don't acquire that brown bag forever, but at the rate at the rate the season's going, we just hope that things will change. When it comes down to Rick here, Rick says not to worry about the Browns since they only have one legit win against the Colts. Eagles players that were injured were a bit rusty last week and will make a difference this week. Who's up for another tie? LOL. Let's hope not for another tie, because that's the last thing that we need.
It could happen. It's the Browns.
It could. You're definitely right.
Hey, Joe, as far as the Browns tight ends, I think they're kind of like flying under the radar with Austin Hooper and David Njoku. I forgot the third tight end you guys had, but don't they seem to be helping Baker Mayfield out in the passing game, as well as Jarvis Landry along with the running game?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The tight ends are a big reason for Baker's small dink and dunk offense. When he's playing off the play action, the big guys, the tight ends, he's the first one that they see if they're open. So they have – I don't know about David Njoku. I don't know where his heart lies. He's been injury prone since we've got him in 2017, and he actually wanted a trade request recently. So I wish he would play with his heart, because he could be a really good tight end. But we do have other tight ends that are just as good. Austin Hooper is our number one. David Njoku is actually labeled third on our depth chart as tight end. I can't right off my mind. I can't think who the second tight end is, but he's labeled third.
I mean, Austin Hooper was a big pickup from the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know. I forgot that was a trade or free agency.
I believe he got picked up in free agency.
The bottom line is that the Browns can run the football. They're the third-ranked rushing offense in the NFL. And when you can run the football, you're going to win games. So far, they've been beating up on some of the bottom feeders of the league. We do have you to thank that Cleveland went into Dallas earlier in the year and beat them 49-38. So thank you, right? So with that being said, it's going to be interesting to see if Cleveland is able to keep that up, because of the fact that the Eagles have the 26th ranked rush defense in the league. So we'll see if that wet field turns into a big situation here today. Turnovers could.
The Eagles have 35 sacks allowed, which is 32nd in the NFL. 32nd. So, especially in wet condition, they better hope Myles Garrett isn't in, because if he's in, it's over with. If he's out and the other players have to step up, Carson Wentz, I don't think it's Doug Peterson that's the problem. I believe it's Carson Wentz. The only reason the Eagles had a Super Bowl, in my opinion, is Nick Foles. Carson Wentz got him to the playoffs, and Nick Foles took him to the promised land. And then what did they do to Nick Foles? And I'm sorry, he's hurt right now too.
Fuji, do you want to comment on that?
I'll comment on this because the talk for the last 3 seasons has been Nick Foles, Nick Foles, Nick Foles. Love the guy, and the reason the Eagles kept Carson Wentz because they traded up to the second pick overall in 2016 and took him. Which, Wentz being, we all believe he's the franchise quarterback, but it just seems like he has regressed. Now, my thing is, the Eagles got Marty Morningwig, Press Taylor, who's the quarterback's coach, Rick Scangarilla, and Doug Peterson. I think Wentz has too many cooks in the kitchen. to me, is Doug the quarterback to groom Wentz? I don't know. I think there's too many people in Wentz's ear about everything. I think he's not scrambling enough, which Doug's not letting him do. He's not throwing on the run, which he should be doing. And, he's been sacked a hell of a lot of times. The Eagles have had like 7 different starting offensive lines this year, which, you've been moving. It's like Keystone Cops moving everybody around. And
they've also given up 17 turnovers. The Eagles have given up 17 turnovers, which is 28th in the league. And a lot of those are interceptions. So Carson Wentz is just, from the outside looking in to the Eagles, I really believe that you guys should draft a Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, because Eagles have a great franchise and there will always be contenders in the NFC East.
Well, the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts second pick, which says a lot after you gave Carson Wentz $140 million for the next 2-3 seasons, and where they had all their needs as far as offensive line, linebacker. You could go out and get anything, which they drafted as far as taking Jalen Hurts number 2, which speaks volumes, because if Wentz doesn't work out here, could he be traded after this year? With the COVID, he'll probably stay. And, how many more games is it going to come down to where Doug sits Carson Wentz and puts Jalen Hurts in there? You got 5 big games coming up, after today. I don't even know if the Eagles will win another game.
Well, I don't have much room to talk. We've had 12 coaches since 2004, and we've had probably about 30, 40 something quarterbacks. So
right.
It's kind of hard.
Well, what's your take of Kevin Stefanski? He's a local Philly guy.
I was nervous. Go ahead.
Actually, his father used to be a general manager of the Sixers, Ed Stefanski.
Oh wow! I didn't know that. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm gonna have to write that one down so I can remember that one later. Thanks. But I like Kevin Stefanski. He's definitely better than Freddie Kitchens. I had hope for Freddie Kitchens, but Kevin Stefanski is doing what he needs to do to win games. And if he could win some big ones, I think it would shut the media up about the Browns. The Ravens and the Steelers both have to come to Cleveland, and the Browns ain't going to forget what they did to them. So when they come all, thinking they're going to win, it's going to be a hard-fought game. Whether the Browns win or not, they're going to put on a hard-hitting game for the fans. And them last 2 games against the Ravens and the Week 17 against the Steelers probably will decide the fate of the AFC if the Browns continue. Because as of right now, I have the Browns only losing to one team in the next 7 games, and that is to the Titans.
Right. Well, we're going to get to a couple of comments here, and I know, Mike, you want to keep and stuff on. And again, Joe, thank you for coming on with us today from Cleveland's finest podcast. So a couple of comments here that we'll look back at before we get into the Doug comment from 94 WIP. Tom says, we also took the Giants lightly last week much agreed. They did take them very lightly, which I thought the Eagles weren't going to do, but apparently they did. Also, Ed states, Cleveland Joe Do, not sure what is better, the chain or the hair. And then I think it's a combination of both, because you had the chain on. Of course, I watched it the other day on your podcast, and the chain was interesting, but the chain, the hair is to me, it's like a deadly combination, but it looks good nevertheless.
Well, if I can comment to that, I got a band and I'm the lead singer, so I got to still maintain everything outside my podcast with my friends. So just trying to keep the look. I'm actually trying out for a semi-pro football team up by me. It's called Lake Erie Explosion, and that's December 6th, so I'm going to be trying out for them as well. So I got some big things in the works for me. So the chain and the hair just represents what I'm going through right now.
That's right.
It's a kick-ass look. Look like,
Thanks.
it's just the dog pound. Just like we had the 700 level, you guys had the dog pound.
So,
Love the dog pound, man. I just wish they play like it, you know.
Right.
we
Well,
hope.
I was supposed to go out to Cleveland there this year at the game, but it just fell through.
Yeah, I had my kids this weekend. I wanted to go to the game, just to go to the after party and the tailgating, because there's still that going on. Everybody's just being consciously aware of the COVID, but I got my kids, and it's just, I don't know, it's so much fun down there to watch them, especially when they win. You should see the fans when the Browns win. You would think every game we won the Super Bowl. So
Hey, listen, it can only get better. I mean, you got to figure after the 2 seasons you guys went 0-16. That first win, it should have been the Super Bowl, because that was tremendous. That was just horrible. But every team, they rise from the ashes. Hopefully, Cleveland's doing the same exact thing. Tom says current weather conditions is 38 and rain in Cleveland. Now I'm thinking, is Ed here? Ed says, "What's with the sunglasses? Though it's raining in Cleveland." Is Ed the one that's part of the podcast? Or no?
No.
Okay. All
I
right.
know who it is. I went to high school with him.
Okay.
What's going
I
on, Ed?
don't know. I got a big forehead. The lights,
Yeah, no, you're fine.
It's just better.
Yeah, no, you keep on whatever you want to keep on. That's no problem whatsoever. But Tom says Myles Garrett is definitely out today, which we heard. Sorry for the aircraft flying by here. I'm nearby the Tampa airport. Also, Ed has 2 more comments. He says, this dude, 95, is like a young Eskin. So Howard Eskin, of course, he was. So to give you kind of the what he's trying to say as far as when it comes to Howard Eskin was he was pretty much to say and do whatever Howard wanted to say, and he still does to this day. Of course, he's much tamer than what he did back in the day. But Howard is him and Tony Bruno, I will say, were pretty much the pioneers when it comes to Philadelphia as far as when it comes to radio. He also says, "Is your band a Vanilla Ice cover band?" I haven't heard, but by the way, remind me to plug your band before I forget. And then, of course, you must make fun and interpret the name, and he puts down ass baby. So that's just Ed, I guess. But Joe, I know I did hear a song that we had talked about during the week. As far as your band, before we get into the conversation here with Doug, the band name, and then are you guys, as far as playing host and any other local bars, which I know it's been hard during COVID, or are you guys kind of scaling back and waiting for the coronavirus to kind of be over?
We've actually played 2 shows this year. My band's name Struggle. Struggle the Band is on Facebook. You can look them up, Struggle the Band. We played 2 shows. We played one on Halloween night, which was awesome, and we played one towards September. It was all outdoors. Everybody was 6 feet apart. People had masks on. But I think people are tired of the COVID situation. They're like, let's get out. We want to see live music. I also have some of my solo stuff on YouTube. You can find me on YouTube. It's Joe Rieger. I got some original songs that I wrote. Me and my band just plays covers, but I also write music as well. Play guitar and write music.
I told you during the week, and the one song that I did listen to, I liked a lot. I will say it takes, obviously cojones to be able to go out there and perform in front of people. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Everyone gets nervous. I mean, if you come on air, I don't care if you're a podcaster, broadcaster, musician, the day that you come out on stage and you don't have jitters, there's a problem because you become too comfortable. But I did like the one song that I did hear from you, because there's nothing better than hearing someone interpret their music from the relationship that they had. And the one that Joe has, it's catchy, but it's good. And it's one of those songs you can just hear it kind of like over and over and over again. So good job, Joe. Because I mean, again, it takes a lot in order for someone to have the courage to come out there and start up a band. So good job on that one. Ed comes back and he says Cleveland Joe's a good sport, and he has been. We appreciate Joe, of course, coming on from out of Cleveland. So we're having fun, no matter which way you look at it, we're having fun across the board. And then, of course, Sean Superfat Austin says, my man Nate Jerry playing today. Mike, do you know the answer to that one?
I believe he is. He's not on the injury report.
Yeah.
That's a shame. Another guy stealing money. It shouldn't even be in the NFL. But anyway, piece of trash. I don't want to get fired up about Nate Geary. I pulled Michael Kendricks or Nigel Bradman off the street rather than this bum. But let me not lose it right now.
I have 5 people for the Eagles out for the COVID-19 reserve list. Is that true? Is that what you have?
At least 4. There's J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, which is no big deal.
John Hightower, Deontay Burnett, Corey Clement, and Finney Curry.
That sounds about correct. Thanks. I do my
research.
Making my job easier.
We had 2 more comments here. One, again, from Tom. He says he's a stiff, referring back to Nate. And then 2 other ones just came in here. Kristen says, don't get fired up, Fuji, please. Mike is – so, Joey, if you haven't seen Fuji fired up, it's quite the show. It's funny when he gets fired up. But very, very passionate Eagles fan. I'll put it that way. And Ed also says both teams smell 18-18 tie coming. Maybe a drop punt for safety will win it. And one last one here before we get into Doug. About time Whiteside caught something. Yeah. He caught something other than football. So, yeah, I agree. As a pun intended joke. But that's quite funny.
There will not be a tie today. There will not be a tie today.
No.
Now, Cleveland Joe, Angel may talk me up a little bit later with my score prediction. So I'll make my score prediction a little bit later, but there is not going to be a tie today.
Well, I actually, Angel, thanks for having me, guys, by the way. This is awesome, But Angel, on Thursday night, we both had a thing, the Cardinals versus the Seahawks. And I believe was it Angel that got the points correctly?
Angel was right. Angel had 49 points, and you had it at 48 points, right? And the final score was 28
we
to 21.
Both got the win.
Yeah,
we both got the win and the point spread. So that's something. I was like, man, I thought I had the same points, and then I looked back, and then I was like, Angel has the same points. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't believe I got beat by you hit it right on the money, man.
26-23, he had it right on the money. You had it. You were 1 point off, and I said Seattle was going to win by 8, and they ended up winning by 7. So my streak is looking pretty good. And you never know what's going to happen from week to week. That safety in that game almost blew it. And yeah. I don't know what in the world Kirkpatrick from the Cardinals was thinking about in that situation. Seattle was about to be in a situation where they had to kick a long field goal, and that penalty for 15 yards changed the outcome of the entire game. So maybe all of us would have been wrong. Who knows? But Angel, well done on hitting the number right on the head. Joe, well done with being one off of that number. It's fantastic.
Could only been beat by Angel, man. But that was great. That was great sportsmanship.
No, thank you guys too. The one now, Joe, of course, because again, you're starting to come on, as far as to see what we're about. But so Mike Sherman is the self-proclaimed guru, and as the guru, he's never wrong. And it's scary to think that now we're coming on episode 16, and it's week 11. The man has been on point, so it's kind of scary how good he is. But before it gets later here, we got about an hour left until, of course, the kickoff. Doug Peterson, this phone call to me, and you guys hear it now, and I'll get the feedback as soon as it's over. But it was quite interesting when he came on Monday with Angelo Cataldi at 94 WIP crew.
Who do you blame the most for the Eagles' 10-point loss to the Giants? 72% coaching.
Head coach of the Eagles, Doug Peterson. Hi, Doug.
Good morning, Angelo. Thanks for the lead-in. I appreciate that.
I'm sorry. That was just
was awesome. Hey, listen, that just puts me in a great mood today. Already in a good mood. I appreciate it.
I kind of felt you probably wouldn't be in a good mood.
Can I hang up now?
No, please don't, Doug.
I'm feeling my obligation right now. If I hang up, I feel my obligation.
Doug, I fully understand.
I'm pissed off, Angelo.
All right, what about Doug?
I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off at myself. I'm pissed off at the way we played. and it's just it frustrates me. It frustrates me to no end. And it's we have too much pride, and I have too much pride. These players have too much pride. We work our ass off during the week, and it's frustrating. It is frustrating, and blame it on me all you want. I'll handle it with the players. You can blame it on me. I'm a big guy. I can handle it. That's fine. But this is, we're self-inflicting ourselves. We are killing ourselves. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. All those cliche little, statements is still showing up, and it's frustrating.
Doug, now that you've looked at the tape, what's your best explanation for what happened yesterday?
I look at a lot of different things. I look at, number one, I look at 11 penalties. Let's just start there. Let's start with 11 penalties. Whether we agree with them or not, there's 11 penalties. Let's start with 0 for 9 on third down. Let's look at that. Right? Those are penalties, are discipline things. Third down are execution things, and also play calling things. And when I look at this tape today, it's exactly what jumps off at the screen. It's exactly what jumps out. And I'm not going to sit here and make excuses and say we've got young players. No, that's over with. We're 10 weeks into this thing. There's no more. We all have to do our jobs, and we all have to do it better. I have to coach better. We have to play better. Bottom line.
Doug, I've had the opportunity to talk to you for a long time, and I really consider it a privilege. This is the most frustrated I've ever heard you. Is it the most frustrated you've ever been as Eagles coach?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. It's without getting into what we do here during the week, because I just don't like to, give all that information out. But there's things we talk about as a team, things we talk about as coaches with our players during the week about how these games are going to be, how these games are going to play out. It's almost like, you can sit here with a crystal ball on a Monday and go, I know exactly how these Giants are going to play, right? You just know that. It's NFC East. It's the same way when you play the Cowboys or Washington. You just know. And to me, that's what's frustrating is being able to explain that during the week and even have the players understand and even communicate that back. And then to go out and play like we did is very frustrating. I am frustrated. And I'm pissed off.
Now, of course, I got one quick fan reaction of what they thought what Doug just said, and here's what the hell is even that? It's amazing to me that, of course, Doug keeps saying that every week it's going to be a fast start, every single week, and it never turns out to be that fast start that he's been looking for. The other thing is he says he's pissed off, and the way that the phone call itself started, they're going to make comments. Anyone who's on radio is going to make a comment. And, of course, Doug didn't like it because what he saw on the field. Every week, and it's funny because we've been talking about it, the three of us at least, every single week have talked about how the practice does not add up to the playing field. So you had the chance to get it together. Within the 2 weeks that you were off, you come back, and Danny Dimes does what? The same thing, and I even made fun of it last week where it was a sprinkler, it popped up a trip up Danny Dimes. And what's Danny Dimes do? Runs it in. The same identical play when the Eagles played him just 3 weeks prior. So Doug keeps saying that he's pissed off. He doesn't know what to do. He has like 50 million thousand excuses. Carson Wentz, of course, came on with Dave Spadaro, and if we get a chance we'll get around to it as well. But it's the same thing. It's the same song and dance. And if you look at it, every single week we keep hearing the same excuse. We have to do better. This is going to happen. I don't know what the magic wand is going to end up being, but Doug, that conversation itself, and Tom had made a comment that he just did it kind of like for the fans. He, whether it was an actual true Doug being pissed off, we don't know. We're going to see the proof in the pudding here when it comes to Cleveland, and we're about 55 minutes till game time. But Doug seems to be doing the same exact song and dance. When it came to recapping, and I'll show that clip here in a little bit, you're going to hear it. It's after, 3 days later, it's on a Wednesday, and he talks about how fast things are supposed to happen. But the reaction from you guys when it came to that phone call?
Well, to me, this team comes out flat. I mean, the fast start, there ain't no fast start. It's like this team's just, there ain't no cohesiveness. Everybody's like, la, 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 whatever you want to put it. I mean, it's bad. It's a bad reflection on the coach. Hands down. I mean, everybody's going, is it Howie? Is it Doug? Is it Schwartz? Is it Wentz? Who the hell is it? I mean, it starts from the coaching. And these guys should be self-motivated, but where the hell does it come from? I mean, these guys should be – you're coming off a bye week. You're coming off a team that you just barely beat. And the thing of it is it's a flat-out joke. You should have wiped the goddamn field up with this team. Like, there's just no cohesiveness. There's no urgency. Honestly, let them go see the Wizard of Oz and get some heart, because the heart's not there. And Brandon Graham's calling everybody out in the damn locker room. Let's go. You got 7 games. Strap it on. There's no excuse.
The chemistry is definitely a problem, right? They came out of the bye. They came out flat. And everybody in Philadelphia was talking about, Alshon Jeffrey is coming back, and this one's coming back, and that one's coming back. They should crush the Giants. And no, I told you last week that the Giants were going to beat the Eagles 20-17. And the Giants ended up beating them 27-17. Now the Eagles have had that week to get the chemistry back together. They now should have the fire lit under them. Even though the Browns have beat up on some lower-level teams this year, if they don't take the Browns lightly, they're going to lose. If the Browns get out to a lead in this game, the Browns will end up blowing out the Eagles. Now, the Juru prediction, which will be made a little bit later, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Eagles are going to jump out. This is Carson's last stand. He's going to take it to the team today. They're going to jump out to a lead. And I think that the Eagles are actually going to win this game. So if you're a Philadelphia sports fan, is that good news or is that bad news? Because the bad news is if the Eagles –
You said that the Cleveland Browns beat up on lower level teams. Well, here's the Cleveland Browns playing a lower level team.
Good
so you're kind of off a little bit.
No, and I agree with that 100%. The Eagles right now are a lower level team, even though they're in first place in the division. They have an under 500 record. So if Cleveland gets out to a lead and they run the ball the way they can, they are the third-ranked rushing offense in the league. Then this will be a long afternoon for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm hoping
my take on the phone call with Doug Peterson, though, there is definitely, as you said, a chemistry problem, and I don't think it's the heart that he should ask the Wizard of Oz for. I think it's a brain, because Carson Wentz is just not the guy. I do not believe it's Doug Peterson's problem. I think it's a Carson Wentz problem. You look at Mike Sanders. Mike Sanders had a good running day last week, and they lost. The defense is not as horrible as the offense, and the special teams is decent. So I really believe it's a Carson Wentz problem.
Well, earlier this week on Sports Talk in Philly, it's been a question about Doug. Should he be calling the plays? Which he's not going to step down from. And, we could go back to the days of Andy Reid where, like, you were just piggybacking off Angel. There's no excuse. I mean, it does start with the coach. And I agree with you, Joe, what you're saying about Wentz. Like, Wentz is supposed to be the leader and the franchise quarterback of this team. This team needs a goddamn fire lit on them. I mean, you're right. Well, let's start today. You know what? I'm tired of making excuses for this team every goddamn week and waiting for them to turn it on. It's 7 games left.
It's after this week. I think it's next week. You guys turn it on next week and still make the playoffs.
Like I said, no team in this NFC East should even be in the playoffs. It's a disgrace. These guys shouldn't even get paid for being professionals. Every paycheck should be revoked until you start winning. It's a disgrace.
Well, they can take their paychecks, Mike. If you want, we can, instead of the whole COVID
Give me
thing,
the money.
Yeah, well, instead of waiting for that $1,200 that everyone is waiting for, thanks to things going on here in the world, maybe they can take their paychecks and just give them away, at least for Thanksgiving. Who knows?
I put $2,000 out a year on season tickets for this team, and I'm glad I got my money back, because I wouldn't be going down to the link to see this crap, because it's flat out garbage. There's no excuse for it.
As I get back to the comments here, the one thing I am shocked about is the Juru making the comments that actually that the Eagles, and it almost sounds like that they're going to win. And I did say earlier this season that I think I need to give him a second COVID test, because the first one he went with flying colors. He may need a second one for this one if that's the case. But Tom says Doug is out of here by the end of the season. I don't think that happens. I do say, though, sorry, as the truck goes screaming by here, I do say that Doug will be talked to by ownership. And if he doesn't right the ship, then I can see him maybe gone by midseason next year. I don't see it that he'll be gone at this point so far. Rick states, at this point, Doug comments are worthless. Words mean nothing.
Exactly.
So, yep. He follows it up with, improvement is what it counts, is what we've just been talking about now. Ed says that Doug needs to go to a full hat, lose a visor. Yeah, well, he's learning from Chucky. Chucky does the same exact thing there with the Raiders. Barbara says, love when Fuji gets fired up. And Joe, you're starting to see the way Fuji does get fired up. But Barbara, of course, she loves it as well. And that would be the Mrs. Sherman. Oh. And then Mike, who's sitting right here, not too far away, he says, we can beat the Browns. Let's do this, Philly to South. Of course, Mike Klein, the 25-year president of the club here at Tampa Joe's. And Rick says, one more here. We'll have to see this group recap after a game and talk. And it may happen for the first time today. I'm not too sure, but we will be back at the half.
Well, luckily, it seems like this team looks like they'd be lucky if they could beat the Little Sisters of the Poor right now. It's a disgrace. It's a flat-out joke, seriously. There's no excuse. Call me.
I want to show here that the Capitals, of course, we're going to try and get around the NFL as well. But I want to now remember, this is Doug Monday talking about how things happened over the weekend, of course, being Sunday and how we felt. But then this is what he followed up with Wednesday. And it's going to sound like a familiar tune.
Yeah, listen, I'm disappointed. We're all disappointed. The guys in the locker room at the end of the game, they were frustrated. They were mad. I look back. We've had 14 days since we played a game, and of course we went into the intensive protocol last week, and things were a little different for us. But you know what? It's still my responsibility to have the team ready to play, and we came up short, and we know we're so much better. And we gotta buckle in this week, and everything's still right in front of us, and got a great opportunity on Sunday. The guys are mad, the guys are upset, and they can really channel that into a positive, right? They can feed on that and sort of use that as momentum going into the next ball game, or at least these next 7 games that we have remaining. And there's a lot of pride. Listen, a lot of pride in that locker room, coaches and players, and we'll get it fixed. I mean, it's definitely been a work in progress. We're slowly getting some guys back healthy, which has definitely been also an issue for us, first half of the season, and I think that's a positive too that we can lean on. I got to look at not just the game, but I got to look at the body of work from the bye week on, right? I mean, we've had a lot of time to really kind of sit back and reflect and focus, and there's been a lot of questions asked. Why was the team flat? Why was there this? Why was there that? So those are things I look at, and there's things that go on that as a head coach you have to deal with, and even in my own preparation. And I look back I get frustrated because I want every play to work, right? I want every drive to end in a kick, whether it be a field goal or an extra point. And so when it doesn't happen, obviously that's where I get a little frustrated and a little upset. And what can I do better during the week? How can I coach a little bit better? How can I coach my coaches better? And those are all things that I look at, and I can definitely do a better job there.
So that's Doug, right? We've heard this over and over again. Is the proof going to be in the pudding today? I have no idea. Barbara says that as far as the Fuji, I love your comment. No pay this week. Tell them to go out and earn your audition. You play to full potential, and you'll get your next check. And it's so true. And if anyone should know, by the way, if the window there to, I guess, to my right, my left, depending how we're doing things on a Brady Bunch here, the Mrs. Sherman, which would be to the Mr. Juru there, these guys in combination, they know what they're talking about. So, yeah, I would listen to heed the warnings as well. But, again, Doug, we're going to hear it, and it's probably going to turn out to be the same exact thing.
Well, he wants every drive to end in a kick. Yeah, how many times is he going for 2 points at the goal line in ridiculous situations?
Correct.
Well, the press conference sounded like Andy Reid. Starts with me. I got to do a better job. I got to put my players in better position. Time's yours. He said it the 4 same damn things on a Monday at a press conference for 14 years. That's what Andy Jr. sounding like now. When show the hell up today and play some damn smart football. I want to see this team come out today and play a full game and dominate. Not just win, dominate up and down the field for 60 minutes.
No, this could be, listen, it could be Andy 2.0. You never know. Maybe he, it falls off the tree, right? The apple falls short from the tree. So who knows? Doug, we all know that he's got to get it together today, or it's going to be looking really, really bad for Doug. And of course, because Joe's on here as well, Joe from the Cleveland's Finest Podcast. And check it out on Facebook, Cleveland's Finest Podcast. Joe, of course, we love the opportunity of you coming on with us today. We're having a lot of fun with you, and we appreciate it. To make it fair, of course, Cleveland, I looked up, and Cleveland also has a clip here, and they said they're ready for the Eagles. So we're going to watch this here real shortly.
I think you have to be able to do whatever it takes to win. You just have to attack, and whatever they're stopping, you have to go the opposite way. We have a big picture mindset, but a singular game focus. So that's how we're going to handle it.
A really good football team coming to our building. It's a really sound scheme on all 3 sides for the Eagles. So we have to have our work cut out for us, and we really need a great week of preparation.
All we want to do is win, and that's pretty much it. We want to get a win, and that's all that matters.
We understand and know that that's what it's going to take. It's going to be one game at a time. We can't look forward. We can't look behind us. And that's what we're working towards every day. Just putting, one foot in front of the other and coming out here each and every day, leading up until Sunday, taking it one game at a time.
Joe, sorry, I know you were making a comment as the video started. So, Joe, you were saying something?
Oh, yeah. The Browns are 4-1 at home. Our only losses to the Raiders at home. So the Eagles have their work cut out for them, for sure.
Barbara, of course, said, yeah, you go, Mike Fuji. And Mike responds back with, Barbara Rick Sherman, thanks, Mom. Ed throws in a comment here, says, how many Browns does it take to win a Super Bowl? The world may never know. And quite funny. And of course, with Joe being on with us, and we're playing the Browns, and I don't know, we won one, of course, just a couple years ago, but who knows if it's going to turn out to be the same. It's going to be interesting, nevertheless, should I say. And I know we're going to go around the NFL here. Before we get to that, as far as the injury report, what are we looking for as far as people that came back or coming back for today's game and those who are out? Mike?
Nate Sudfeld, quarterback, running back Jason Huntley, safety Rudy Ford, tackle Brett Toth, guard Nate Herbig, and wide receiver Quez Watkins are all out for the Eagles. The Browns I do not have in front of me there, Joe, unless you got it on your end.
I got on my round. Out for the Browns is Myles Garrett, defensive end. Rodney Harrison is active. Chubb is active. Kareem is questionable because he banged his shoulder in practice. So I think he's a game time decision. Other than that, we have Wyatt Teller coming back, and Jack Conklin's healthy. So the only person we're really missing is Myles Garrett this week, and OBJ, obviously.
Is Cody Parkey playing today?
I believe Cody Parkey is playing today. I believe.
Hey, double doink.
Unless you know something.
Double doink.
Well,
could come down to some field goals.
It definitely could. There's one thing, of course, we know the Eagles. There was a couple of players came up on the COVID protocols. Not, of course, what we wanted to hear. It's unfortunate, but we have Sherman. I believe we got 4 players now under COVID protocol.
Correct. JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
Which Ed, of course, made the
I
comment.
forgot the other ones.
Vinny Curry is one of them. Corey Clement is one of them. JJ is one of them.
No loss. And
no loss.
Yeah, the biggest impact player on the Eagles side, I would say, is probably Vinny Curry. If he's not playing today.
Another second round worthless pick of Howie Roseman. But anyway, I'll turn the channel on that one.
I mean, but look, Myles Garrett is far superior to the person who I just mentioned, and I think that is going to have a huge impact on the game with Myles Garrett out. If Myles Garrett is playing, the Juru selection is completely different. But with Myles Garrett out today, that is a game changer. Absolute game changer.
It very well could be.
He has 10 sacks. He has 10 sacks this year. He's leading the league in sacks. He's leading the league in strip sacks and forced fumbles with the strip sacks, not forced fumbles himself. So I don't want to be wrong here. But, yeah, it is a game changer. But I do believe we have the pieces in place to back up Myles Garrett. So Carson Wentz is still going to be under some pressure, I'm sure.
Well, Ed puts down the comment, what's the difference between the Browns and a bucket of crap the bucket? So I don't know where. Listen, there's a lot of talk going back and forth today. I'm just hoping the Eagles will back it up. And I don't know, Sherman, I got one of those funny feelings that he picks the Eagles. I think, matter of fact, I won't even. There's a blood donation truck that's right in the parking lot, not too far away. Not only that, exactly. I will donate and actually get my COVID testing because I think there's something wrong when I woke up this morning. But because the Juru is pretty much on point every single time. So, one thing, of course, that we like to show it, and we're hoping before we get to around the NFL here, it's 12:22, so we got about another 30 minutes or so before game time. Of course, we show always a hype video for the Eagles, and we'll show this one in the hope that they bring the hype. So here we go. We're supposed to be getting a faster pace.
We got to make sure when we start the game that everybody's locked in, and I've got a good set of openers, first and second down plays that we feel comfortable with as we attack the opponents. But we've done some good there, but and then again, some defenses that we've played have been pretty good and have also kept us off the field there too.
I think it starts definitely with practice because some of the stuff that's showing up out there, we just being real with ourselves, is happening in practice. Jumping off sides, pre-snap penalties, false starts. So it's just all stuff that we just need to, hone in on, like as a team. And I think that we're doing a good job addressing that elephant in the room. But now we at a point now where we know that stuff is affecting us, and we gotta clean that up. And so what I love the most is how Doug brings his energy and don't let, a lot of this stuff, get to him too much, but just know that he got to make a change, and it starts with him, and it trickles down to us. And, we got to make sure that we policing that when we see stuff happening in practice.
Are my practices perfect? No. That's why it's practice. But as far as sloppy practice habits and those things, for one, you guys are out there every day, and then you guys are asked to leave. So the media's not even out there. So I don't know where that's coming from. But it is what it is. I know I'm not perfect. I know that's why it's practice, and I got to be better all the time. But I'm always out there working. I know everybody else is. So I haven't seen any of that from myself or really from anybody. We're out there busting our tails every day. And do mistakes happen? Absolutely. But is that something that I've seen or that I'm worried about for myself or anybody else? No, I'm not. As far as compartmentalizing, to be honest, I don't listen to a lot of the noise because all that really matters is inside this building. And I've made it a habit and a point of emphasis of staying off social media for the past couple of years. And that's just, whether it's good or bad, it's just, all that matters to me is the locker room, this organization, and how we're going to get better.
I'd like you to share with us the feeling of being back on the field. I know you hate not playing. Just from a love of the game standpoint, what was it like to be back out there on Sunday?
Yeah, it felt good. Felt good to be playing ball and going out there and feeling like you're contributing and doing something for the team. So, yeah, like I said, just felt good to finish the game. Something that's been difficult for me to do this year. So, finished it up. We did some good things, did some bad things, but ultimately didn't get the win like we wanted to, and that's disappointing.
So again, and usually I put on, of course, the hype video would be that, they're either running off the field or doing something else. But unfortunately, every time I seem to play it, the Eagles seem to go backwards. So I figured this time the hype video would be, the guys trying to hype themselves up because we're waiting to see what's going to happen with this team. 2 more comments before we get to the games here around the NFL, which we got about 25 minutes or so left. Rick says, wishing everyone a good game and a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Rick. Same to you and your family. Hope that everyone is safe. I know that they try to put the numbers in people's families and their houses for as far as saying who can be where and so on and so forth. Everyone enjoy their time with their families. Regardless of whoever says what, enjoy their time with their families. We do appreciate it. Ed, once again, the Cleveland Browns rebuilding since 1964. Ed has been on a roll today. We appreciate the comments there from Ed. Of course, I'm here live at Tampa Joe's. The fans are starting to come in, so we're getting some people out here on the patio. We got some people on the inside, and I'll give a shot here or a live shot later on as far as in the podcast later on. But, of course, one of the games that we picked for the week was the Patriots versus the Texans, and that's a 1 o'clock start. Sherman, what can you say about the Pats and Texans?
Well, the Texans have 2 wins against Jacksonville this year, and aside from that, they've been pretty abysmal. And at the end of the day, whether the game's in Houston or whether the game is in New England, Belichick always has the Patriots ready to play. I told you last week on this show that the Patriots would win the game on the field against the Baltimore Ravens in that Sunday night game, and they did. If the Patriots were playing better competition today, maybe they lose the game, but I'm going to go Patriots today to win that game in Houston and keep their slim playoff hopes alive in a pretty dominant AFC.
Fuji?
Well, Houston, they're all over the place. I mean, New England's not that far behind, but Belichick seems to maybe he'll get this team back on track after the win last week. Got to go with Bill Belichick and the Cheatriots.
Joe, what do you think? As far as the Patriots-Titans game.
I'm also going to go Patriots. My Brownies put a whooping on Texans last week. Texans defense is suspect. Deshaun Watson is the best player that they have, but I don't think he's everything that can beat Bill Belichick. I was just so disappointed in the Texans giving away their best player, DeAndre Hopkins, over the offseason. So wherever they play, I take Patriots to win 17-10.
Okay. Well, and by the way, the Mrs. Juru says the Eagles win today, and these two are partners in crime. So I'm pretty sure she and the Mr. Juru probably end up being right about this one. Ed says Texans win outright. So we're moving on to the next one. The next one being the Ravens versus Titans. And, of course, that's another 1 o'clock game. Both of these matchups are going to be really well. Both teams need that win. Ravens have seemed to be kind of slow this entire season. Sherman, what do you think?
Well, the Ravens lost to the Titans last year in the playoffs, the whole Lamar Jackson project, and I'm sure that they haven't forgotten about it. They definitely didn't forget about it last week when they lost on the road to New England, because the Baltimore Ravens, they have this game circled on their calendar. And even though Tennessee has had a week and a half to prepare for this game, when they lost in the Thursday night game against Indianapolis, Baltimore is going to obliterate this team today. I'm going Ravens.
Okay. Mike?
I'm going to go Ravens. I mean, like, as piggyback off what Sherm said as far as Baltimore losing to Tennessee in the playoffs, I'm sure they are definitely going to come out and bring the house today against Derrick Henry and the rest of the Tennessee Titans.
All right.
I'm gonna go for the Titans to win today because the Browns need this win. I believe Henry is MVP in the running back along with Nick Chubb. So I give Titans the advantage 27, the Ravens 17.
I'll take the Titans as well. I don't think the Ravens pull it out for whatever odd reason. I just don't feel it. I'm pretty sure my brother up in Jacksonville, or not Jacksonville, sorry, St. Augustine would say otherwise. He's a Ravens fan originally from Maryland. But I think the Titans will squeeze one out. And if they squeeze it out, to me, it's a 31-28 victory for the Titans. One thing that I will show Ed says Ravens -6 easy cover, according to what Ed says here. And also I want to show a video that might change as far as our minds, but to me, I'll still stick with the Titans win.
All a part of a huge storm system. I believe the Ravens need a statement game, and this will be it.
Some things in life are best learned in a storm.
If you're in playoff,
we'll try it again.
All a part of a huge storm system. I believe the Ravens need a statement game, and this will be it.
Some things in life are best learned in a storm.
If you're in playoff contention right now, I honestly think you can win the Super Bowl.
And we've all been through them. Maybe now more than ever. The turmoil, the intensity, the randomness of it all, it can break you. Or it can make you that much stronger. We're facing one hell of a storm right now. And we're standing tall, united, and unafraid. Because even the strongest storms are strangely calm when you're right in the middle of it. Our eyes are looking forward. This storm will not define our season. It will not break us. We will rage on. We will outlast it. Because when the storm runs out of rain, we'll still be here.
Well, of course, when the videos are supposed to go on cue the way they're supposed to, it didn't come up on cue, but it was the ending was pretty good when it came to the Ravens video here. Of course, the next one that we got coming up, which I think is kind of a big one, and Joe, just for you, just to let you know, in case you guys do need a quarterback, the one that's going to be starting today for the Saints, he could be your guy for the future. Not too good. It didn't work out too well for him here in Tampa, but he's up there in New Orleans now. Of course, that oh my God, I even forgot the character's name. As a matter of fact, Winston. There you go, Jameis Winston. So if you guys need an outstanding quarterback, look up Jameis Winston. It's not going to happen. Good call there. So, Sherman, what do we got?
So for New Orleans, Atlanta, so almost a year to the day, New Orleans hosted the Atlanta Falcons in kind of the same situation, right? New Orleans was 7-2, Atlanta was 2-7. And the result of that game, Atlanta went into New Orleans and won 26-9. Look it up. Pretty amazing. This year, they're playing New Orleans 7-2. Atlanta is 3-6. Now with no Breeze, these are division rivals, right? Atlanta's not going to be scared to go on to New Orleans. So I'm going to pick the minor upset here with the Falcons going into New Orleans and winning that game and muddling the NFC picture even more. Falcons to win the game.
Okay. Mike?
That's a toss-up. I mean, without Drew Brees, Atlanta does definitely have a shot. I mean, Alvin Kamara's banged up, but I still believe he's going to play from what I –
Me either.
I'm going to go to Falcons by a field goal, which the line is on that game is New Orleans laying 4.
All right. Joe, what do you think?
I think the Saints still know what they're doing without Drew Brees. I don't think Jameis Winston's playing today. I think he picked the other guy. Is that true? Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill is playing.
I'm still going to give the Saints the win, 21-17 over the Falcons.
All right. Ed, before he ended up going out, he said, heading out, good day, good football, guys. Good show. And thanks, Ed, for the comments.
Thanks for tuning in, Ed.
As far as when it comes to that game, Taysom Hill coming in, I mean, it's not going to change my opinion whether it was Taysom or Winston. To me, I think the Falcons are able to barely squeak this one out, but I think they'll actually take it 13-10. Low-scoring game. I don't see, too many things coming out from both teams. They're both hurting this season. Saints, of course, are doing a lot better with Drew Brees in, but right now, the way it looks at it, I think the Falcons are able to squeak this one out. And well, speaking of those two, we got a little hype video when it comes to the Saints and the Falcons.
When you talk about division games, division rivalries, obviously you know what's at stake.
It's one of those things where it's not just the two teams, right? It's the two cities, it's the fan base. You know, everybody kind of circles these games, and they always end up being interesting, regardless of what the records are, regardless of where it is in the season. Or whether it's home and away, it's always one of those interesting games that has some historic battles, and obviously Saints Falcons has a different ring to it.
The word is unstoppable! You are unstoppable! Across the goal line, touchdown! With a big hit on third down, out to the 45, explosive gain on the ground, and that ball is far. Touchdown! It's a big man rumbling. Shy Tuttle with the stiff arm.
Should be a good game. The video's not going to change my mind as far as I still think that Atlanta pulls it off, and we shall see it at the end of that game. That game, of course, starts at 1 o'clock. The 4:05 start. The other game of the week that we chose to pick was the Dolphins versus the Broncos. Of course, Brian Flores, I think, is probably the most exciting coach coming out of the Belichick, stockade, if you want to call it. But he's the most interesting one that came out of there. Out of all of them, obviously, your guy there from Detroit hasn't been doing much to, as far as impressed me. Of course, the other one was let go from the Texans. I think, to me, the Dolphins look much better than the Broncos do. I'll give my score, of course, at the end of this, but also Emmanuel Ogbah has been all over the place. And so, to me, I think that's a key difference in this game between the Broncos.
Well, I'm going to go with Tua Tagovailoa on this because I think he's like the hot hand right now in the NFL. I just think he's come to play. He's finally getting his chance when Fitzmagic took the seat. And I'm agreeing with you, Angel. I'm going with the Tua Tagovailoa show.
Dolphins have won 5 straight and are going to a cold weather city in Denver, but I'm going to ride the hot hand with the Dolphins. And I know, Joe, as a Cleveland Browns fan, you don't want to hear that because of the fact that the Dolphins are one of those teams in the mix for the wild card spots. But the statistics, the Dolphins are 5-0 in their last 5, and they're playing a lower level team in the Broncos. So I'm going to go Dolphins here.
All right, Joe?
Well, I got to be honest. I am actually also going to ride the hot hand. This is my lock of the week, actually. Tua is going to have another great game. He's rookie of the year, in my opinion, over Joe Burrow and the guy from the Chargers, I believe. So I got them winning 28. Yeah, 28-10. I got the Dolphins winning 28-10.
No, I think as far as when it comes to Dolphins, Tom, by the way, says Drew Brees on IR till week 15. I don't foresee, even if Drew Brees comes back, if he has the opportunity coming back, I don't know if you want to injure him at that point. I would have to see where the Saints are. Would it be feasible for them to bring him back on and or not? Only because obviously an injury of what Drew Brees has right now doesn't really do the team any good if the team is not going in the right direction by the time he comes back. As far as when it comes in between those two, the Dolphins and Broncos, I think Dolphins has a big day today, and I'm going with the Dolphins 35-14 for that game there. I think it's a big blowout game for that one. Along with it, of course, the videos, when you go live, it's one of those things that they might tend to have a hiccup, but here's one, of course, from the Dolphins coming up.
Emmanuel Ogbah. What a pickup he's been in his first season with the Dolphins. Ogbah.
This name keeps coming up over and over again every day.
It's been pressure. To the frustration of scientists everywhere, things in the world sometimes just don't make any sense.
These Dolphins are for real. And Minshew is sacked. Taylor and Ogbah.
Write that down.
Down he goes. And it's Ogbah.
Got in there, and that ball came out loose. Chasing Flacco. Flacco now looking at Ogbah, and he drags him down. A monster loss.
Oh, my sweet Jesus.
Ball comes loose. Oh! Emmanuel Ogbah right here off the edge.
Emmanuel Ogbah loses the football.
Got that ball out.
Ogbah forced to fumble.
Turn it off.
So again, that game starts at 4:05, and to me, which I see another comment here popping in, the big game of the week that's coming on, and Sean says, it looks like Fly Goes Fly, if I'm getting the icon here correct. I wish the NFL would release the emojis that we can put on this stuff, but again, it's all about money, so unfortunately, it's not going to happen. The last game, of course, that we chose for the week would be, of course, Andy Reid, the Chiefs versus the Raiders. Andy and the Chiefs have kind of a little chip on the shoulder because of last time the Raiders won. Well, they kind of took it to an extreme level by going around Arrowhead Stadium and basically celebrating that win. So will this be redemption time, Sherman, for Andy to win this game versus the loss they had the first time with the Raiders earlier this season?
Well, keep in mind that Kansas City is coming out of the bye, and what Andy Reid is able to have success at, as opposed to Doug Peterson, is coming out of the bye, he finds a way to win. And compounded with the fact that the Kansas City lost to the Raiders the last time, they're the Super Bowl champions right now. Patrick Mahomes needs to flex his muscles in this game tonight and show to the Raider Nation in Las Vegas that Kansas City is still the team to beat. And I think that Kansas City finds a way to take care of this team tonight. And that'll further help the Cleveland Browns, that's for sure, because the Raiders are one of those teams in the mix for the wild card position at this point. Kansas City wins.
All right. Mike?
Big Red coming off the bye week is 18-3 in his coaching tenure. And the Raiders, this is their third division game in a row. So I'm going with Big Red and the MVP of last year, Patty Mahomes.
All right, Joe, and I see we have another fan there, Joe. Add it on there on your shoulder.
Yes, my daughter. I have the Chiefs winning. The Chiefs winning 17-10. I think it is a time for a little bit of payback, but I think it's going to be a hard-nosed game. I don't think it's going to be very high scoring. That's my opinion, though.
Okay. Sean said before I give my score here and what Andy has to say about his team. Sean says, let's go Raiders, still hate Andy Reid. Of course, Mike went off a little bit earlier today as far as when it came to Andy and the nonsense that happens over there. As far when it comes to me, as I cue up the video here in a second, to me, I'm expecting big things from Patrick Mahomes today. I think it'll be kind of a high-scoring event, maybe, again, redemption. I'm feeling more of a 20-3 win. I don't think the Chiefs entirely blow out the Raiders because I think that they have something left in the tank. But I'm giving it to Patrick Mahomes. I think it's going to be more of a 20-3 victory over the Raiders. And Andy Reid, of course, he likes to talk about the state of the Chiefs. And, well, here's Andy with how he feels, how this is going to work out today.
The kick is up, and it is way right. It's no good. And Andy Reid is now 5th all-time in National Football League history in head coaching victories.
Yeah, so I think we're on track. We've got to learn from some of the mistakes that we made here and get better. We've got plenty of room to do that. But at the same time, there are a lot of good things that are taking place. We'll need that as we go forward and finish up the season. It's so important that guys enjoy being around each other. I mean, we're together for 6 months out of the year, and so I think with that, there's a great continuity amongst the guys. They've had highs, they've had lows, they've worked through them. I think that's all a plus. Most of all, they respect each other.
Chiefs rush 4. Carr with time. Now fires the pass over the middle, wide open. Hunter Renfrow at midfield. A 3rd and 18 play for the Raiders. But the Raiders get a road division win against the Chiefs.
Yeah, they got after us, and they played with great emotion. I think what it showed our guys was that, listen, every game against every team, you better be ready, and you're going to get their best shot. And whatever you thought they were last year, or whatever you thought you were going to see, this is what you're going to get. Yeah, well, they'll listen. Our guys will be ready. I mean, they're ready every week. They know that the Raiders are a good football team, and so we got to go through the whole process of getting ourselves right, though. So, but I think they'll play our guys will play hard and good physical football, and that's what's important.
Well, so of course, we know that Andy has had much success. That one being the obvious one last year, winning the Super Bowl down here in Miami. Andy, of course, is looking for more redemption, not only as much as the Raiders, but he wants to prove to people that it wasn't just a one and done type Super Bowl. Of course, a lot of us were happy that Andy finally got to win one for sure. And well deserved. Many years in the NFL, of course. You know, the funniest thing was Andy was if there was such a thing called the regular season winning coach as far as Super Bowl, Andy would have had years upon years upon years over. But it's good to see the success coming out there out of Kansas City. Again, I just think a lot of these games are going to be tight. I think Kansas City I know they're going to have a lot to prove tonight, because I believe they are playing in Vegas. So there's going to be a lot to be proven at the end of this week. And of course, we're recapping here the Eagles, because that is the game for us right now. Of course, a game for Joe being out there in Cleveland. What do you guys think as far as your final thoughts when it comes to this game? Fuji, I know you were fired up, so I'm going to start with you first.
Oh, I think the key to the game is the Eagles just coming out on fire, because if they come out flat again, it's, status quo junk again. And also, I think they got to shut down Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. I mean, like, back to what Mike Sherman said earlier, the Browns are third in the league in rushing. And, if you get Chubb and Hunt just running the ball down the Eagles' throats, the game's over. Especially to wear that defensive front four down, which is supposed to be one of the better defensive lines in the league. So I think that's the key to shutting the running game down.
Well, I'm going to leave the Juru for last, because I already know he's going to kind of blow me out the water again. I'm ready for my COVID testing, so we'll see what he has to say. So, Joe, again, we thank you for coming on with us. Of course, Joe from Cleveland, and also your band again, Joe. You want to mention it?
Struggle the Band. You can look us up on Facebook. Cleveland's Finest Podcast. You could also find on Facebook or YouTube. My prediction for the game, though, Browns will win 32-24. I do believe Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are going to have a big day, but I expect the Philly defense to kind of keep them at bay a little bit. I believe it's Baker's big chance to break out and throw for 300 yards, and that's my say on the game. We need this. We're going to be in second place. If my prediction comes true, the Ravens lose and the Browns win, we're in second place in the AFC North. So that's what I'm hoping for.
All right. The man of the hour. Let's hear the prediction.
Okay, so I'm going to say to everybody out there who's a Philadelphia Eagles fan, be careful what you wish for. We have talked about it on this show numerous times. That last year, when the Eagles needed to win 4 straight games to get into the playoffs, and they did, be careful what you wish for, because now the Philadelphia Eagles are playing a first-place schedule this year, and they're struggling. And the Eagles, as Joe said, are really not a top-level team right now. They are kind of a bottom-feeder team. But with all that being said, the fact remains that the Cleveland Browns have not beaten the Eagles in 26 years. I'm not saying that the Eagles are winning the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that the Eagles are going to win home to Seattle on Monday night next week. We are talking about today. And I think that Carson Wentz finds a way to keep that Cleveland offense at bay. No Myles Garrett, which is truly a game changer. If Myles Garrett was playing, my prediction would be totally different. But the bottom line, Myles Garrett is not playing, compounded with the fact that the Eagles have not lost to the Browns in 26 years. I'm going Eagles 30, Browns 22. Look for the Browns to score late and convert a 2-point conversion to make it 30-22. The Browns may even have a chance to tie the game in the late stages of the game, but that is the Juru selection. Eagles 30, Browns 22.
Okay, and then so if 2020 wasn't strange enough with what just the Juru said right there, that's it. 2020 is over. So don't nobody come back until the end of the season, because it's rare that he says something about the Eagles that actually comes true. So and as much as I would like to agree and say the Eagles end up pulling out the win, that Carson looks a lot better, I'm not feeling it. I feel it's going to be a tighter game. To me, it's a 17-13 Cleveland win. I think Baker Mayfield finds a way to win more than what Carson will. So to me, it's 17-13 as far as when it comes to the end of the score. And, of course, we're coming up here on the game with about 10 minutes left. I'm going to let it end there a little bit early because we got to get the audio on for the fans that are out here. I do appreciate it. So for Mike Klein, who's out here, of course, with me at Philly to South Philadelphia Eagles Fan Club, we thank for the people showing up right now. We got some Eagles fans in the house. Of course, I'm in live here from Tampa Joe's, and Tampa Joe's is the official sponsor of the Broad Street South Sports Talk. I'd like to thank everyone, with their comments today. We really do appreciate it. Also to For the Bay Clothing Company, forthebayclothingcompany.com, for Joe with Cleveland's Finest Podcast. We thank him for coming on as well. Along with
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. Great
and
job.
of course,
Appreciate
for
it.
Last Out Media with John, Vince, and John Barcher. So Last Out Media, if you guys are looking to up your game when it comes to podcasts, or you want to become complete professionals, look for Last Out Media on Twitter, also lastoutmedia.com. Reach out to those guys. They're quick to get back to you. Also, if you guys don't know, next week's Monday night game, of course, we will be on at 7 o'clock, and our guest will be Tony Bruno. And Tony Bruno, of course, has been a pioneer in Philly. So that should be exciting next week. So, guys, thank you so much. Of course, Mike, again, welcome as sports contributor to the show.
Thank
Fuji,
you.
we will
Welcome,
see, of
Mike.
course, the rest of us here at halftime. We appreciate everyone for coming on. There's two quick comments that are coming in. Let me get those in before we sign off. Now, Mrs. Juru says, "Go Eagles," and follows up with, "Really good job, guys." Or, really good job. So thank you so much, everyone. Again, thank you to all the viewers, all the live ones that tuned in. Tom, real quick, says, "Great show, guys. Happy Thanksgiving to all." And again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We will be back, of course,
Thank you.
next week.
Happy
Monday night game
Thanksgiving.
coming up. So we appreciate it. Joe, if you want to come back on at halftime with us, we'll be back at the half. And everyone else, we'll see you guys at the half.
All right, sir.
All right. So you guys, thank you so much. And as soon as I find my little thing over here,
Angel.
that will be it. So thank you guys, and we'll see you all back at the half.